even one to come in on the youth information, and I know, Eric, you spoke about that, but we know we all depend on our phones so much, and we're always looking at information, and there's lots of valuable information on the internet, but there's a lot of misinformation as well, and I know you've said it's very hard to navigate that. And, you know, I feel sometimes people end up on a social media account and following information that's totally false and can be so misleading. So I just wondering what you're talking about a source of youth information. Can you expand on that and how that, you know, that it would be reliable information for young people to access around issues that are important to them? And just to mention as well, I know you talk about mental health supports, and I think that's so important because I come from Cavan, and we are in the we've been within the top 3 counties in the 26 Ireland for suicide rates for the last number of years, and it's particularly high among young people. And as a former teacher, I knew many of the young people who took their own lives, and it's just devastating. It's devastating for everybody. And look, there are different methods being used to try and address the situation, but I just feel a lack of supports for youth, a lack of youth clubs, maybe a lack of volunteers. They're all adding into it. So I just see some way of addressing that. And I know here within the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, the youth aspect of that is the least funded, and it's you know, it's something that needs to be addressed as well, because I just think you are our future, so we need to make sure that, you know, we are addressing the issues that are affecting you and making sure that you have a say in how they how we move on.
I think youth information very broadly plays into a lot of them in very significant ways. On media literacy in schools particularly, you can see it being applied in subjects like English to media, but not in a practical way that young people feel that they can apply to their lives. It would be ideal if that were a skill that could be taught, but I've seen how a push for a change in the curriculum can be so difficult. So I suppose the next best thing here is to create a space where young people do have that opportunity to engage with media literacy in a way that applies practically to their lives, and in an environment where they feel safe to do so. Second of all, yeah, and I suppose my last thing is the lack of physical spaces for youth information. I said this already, but the primary way that youth information is accessed in the country at the moment under the label of explicit youth information would be the YI chat. The youth information chat operates through the Spun Out website. Currently it is being run by youth information officers around the country. It's an excellent resource, but it's also important to give people the option to drop in and have a chat with someone face to face. Yeah.
In our Dundalk area, we have a youth centre in the centre of the town, but they provide a lot of better services and a lot more services. But the only one problem is that we tackle is lack of transport. You see, down in our area in Tuberuna, like we provide and rely on bus airing, and usually the bus doesn't really come. It always arrives late or it doesn't arrive at all, and people in our area depend on that, whether it's for school or for work, education. And I feel like it is really important that we get a better like the bus services, like make sure it comes on time, because we're lacking in transport and to get to the town centre. And with the buses being late, I feel like if we were to improve that, we'd be able to go into the town centre, into this youth centre. We could even possibly use it to gather around and all that stuff. It's just transport, and we just want better services in Dundalk and also on the outskirts of Dundalk. Like, we don't want to complain about what others have, but I feel like if we all get better services for all the youth in Dundalk, I feel like we'd all be. I feel like it'd be an essential thing that we'd need. So
thank you, and I'll try and be as brief as possible. So just with regards to our key ask around meaningful engagement, the Northern Ireland Youth Forum's Youth Manifesto, one of its key asks is around a Minister for Youth, which we have here in the Republic, but we do not have in Northern Ireland a specific minister responsible for young people, because that responsibility is spread over a number of departments at the minute. So that is very important to me, but also I feel on a personal level it would be remiss of me to not mention the 729 days and 11 hours it was from the resignation of the then First Minister to the appointment of a new First and Deputy First Minister. And on a personal level, I do feel that while we are here today talking about the need to prioritise young people's views and deliver for services, I think the most important thing is that we continue to have stable government, and that, in my view, that needs reform to do that in order to ensure that that collapse never happens again, but also that young people can trust and count on their politicians to deliver for them. So that would be my view, and you've also heard the key asks of the Youth Forum, but I just want to say that the North South Youth Forum will be holding an event in Belfast City Hall on the 23rd of March, which will be a North-South Youth Peace event, because there are lots of views from young people all across this island, and it's important that you don't just hear ours, that you hear as many young people's as possible, and I think that's been a theme from today. So I think almost in a way, in closing, the Northern Ireland Youth Forum came here with a key ask of meaningful long-term engagement, and I think engagement with yourselves and taking that proactive step to come to events like that and also support provision for funding quality youth work will help to achieve that. And I thank you all for your time.